We're going to speak about this topic here, from seed to fruit. The concept behind this, what it means is evolution. It's us starting simple and ignorant and going all the way through to perfection. That's the general concept. This is such an important topic in Spiritism that out of the 5 basic books of the codification, it is in 2 full chapters in 2 of these books. So it's really something that the spirits were there trying to tell us. You got to study this thing, you got to pay attention to this thing. So we're going to go through a lot of things, but the idea is always try to explain, to understand, and how to make it easier for us to make it happen, to go and fly towards perfection. Okay. When we speak about perfection, it's a road that we have to go through. It's a path. Okay, and this path has 2 components, which are these 2 that you see here: a moral progress component and intellectual progress. In each one of these lives, in each one of these steps, which represents a lifetime, sometimes we do more moral progress in a lifetime and less intellectual. Next time is the other way around. They not necessarily are the same per lifetime, but regardless, we have to grow on these 2 lines. Now, when we speak about perfection, we need to define what is perfection, because if we go out there and ask people what is to be perfect, a lot of people are going to say, well, it's just to be like me. And the definition can be problematic. So we need to define perfection in Spiritism. Perfection is not an objective. What does it mean? It means this. Let's say that I wanted to go to the beach next Saturday, okay? And with that in mind, what would I have to do on, let's say, Tuesday afternoon to make it happen? Nothing. What do I have to do on Friday morning to make it happen? Nothing. And then I'm all set and I'm ready to go, and Saturday morning comes in, I wake up and it's raining. So what am I going to do? I was ready to go. You see, I had no participation in the process, because this is what an objective is. It's something that's going to be there for me. It's going to happen for me. Things are going to fall in place and I'll be there. Now, perfection is not this. It's not, I can't say, perfection is not a New Year's resolution. I can't say on January 1st, 14th, I'm going to be perfect, because that would be an objective, and it's not that way. Perfection is a process, rather, and it's a complicated process because it's based on our own choices. It's our hands acting up. It's our ability to handle responsibility that makes it easier or more difficult. So at times, we're right here in this square, we make choices. My choice is to go that path. And then I go further down the road. I realize, wow, I made a mistake when I was on this square, so I've got to come back all the way and make another choice, and it goes like this. So it's a very complicated process. That's why we keep coming back and back and back to make the corrections on things that we didn't do right. So perfection is a process. And if it's a process, my responsibility is just about 100%. Things don't fall in place. I have to conquer them. I have to make it happen. So that's the path, okay? We start right here, as simple as ignorant. We're going to go towards perfection. Now, this, we already see this is not an easy path. Now, what do the spirits tell Kardec when he asks about it? So, as you see here in question 115, the spirits are going to tell us, God has created all spirits simple and ignorant, right? Meaning without the knowledge. God has given each one of them a mission, each one of us a mission, to aim of enlightenment, then end progressively. It's not an objective, it's a process. Progressively leading them towards perfection through the knowledge of the truth. And that's the key thing here. That means for me to go from here all the way to here, I have to know the truth. That's what the spirits are saying here. So it all comes down to understanding what the knowledge of the truth is. As I go along and I acquire more knowledge of the truth, I'm going up my path here. So we need to understand this process, this acquiring knowledge of the truth. And we're going to do this by studying these 4 things, as you see here on the top. We're going to do quick a quick thing about vices and virtues, because we hear this every single week in the Spiritist Center. We just need to align our thoughts to start taking conclusions on the other parts of the talk. So let's just get started with the vices. We usually say that vices are vices of the soul and vices of the body. Most of us, not necessarily even here, outside the Spiritist Center, in Christianity in general, we usually have we categorize vices in two things: vices of the soul and the vices of the body. But we know, and Joanna de Angelis and Emmanuel explain these at length, in deep details, why they are the same. The body is a projection of the harmony or not of the soul. So the body displays what the soul is. So the vices of the body actually started up as vices of the soul. Okay, so this is just for us to align thoughts. We're not going to go too deep into this. So here are a list of some of these vices that we see every day in our lives. We live them. We ourselves here in Spiritist Center, that's where we're here. Otherwise I wouldn't be even on earth. So we live these things. It's part of our lives. We have to deal with them. And these things are all inside. None of these things are outside. Envy is not outside. It's me. It's some sort of trouble that I have, not that he who bought the latest car has. And so. Hatred, resentment, all of these things, they're all inside. Now, the problem is, this thing is like a snowball. Remember, it's a process. So we've been feeding the process for so many incarnations, so many lives. So it all started all the way down back there, okay? So we keep doing this, and we keep practicing these things, and we keep feeding them. There's going to be a point where we can't take it anymore. If we don't stop this, if we don't stop feeding the process, we can't take this anymore. Then we go into a state that I call moral implosion. We just can't take this anymore. It's like you're under stress in your job or something. One day you just want to quit. You go, I can't do this anymore. So morally, the same thing happens. It's just not within a lifetime. It's life after life after life. So there's going to be a point, if we don't stop this, that we're going to go into moral implosion. Now, we know from codification and the spirits that of all these vices, these are some of them, obviously, not all. But of all these vices, one of them is the one that is our pedestal. We stepped on it and we don't let go. And it's very hard. That's the very challenge. That's this one here, selfishness. And it is so bad that we carry this thing. We don't let go. And we feel like we're sinking in the ocean, but we don't let go. And it's bringing us down. And we're like head above water barely, and we're still holding the thing. We don't let it go. If we don't let it go, we're going to sink. Now, if you look into the current society, this is not only one person, this is 7 billion. So it's 7 billion people doing the same thing. So the result is not very nice, as we see on the news every single day. Right now, Brazil is going through a very hard time, and it's ultimately because of all the same thing. All the countries that had their difficulties in all times, it all started here. Now, in question 785, Kardec asks the spirits, we want to understand and study progress. So he asks, what is the greatest obstacle? Because it's been hard. We can't do it. We're not doing it right. Something is wrong here. And the spirits come back and say, pride and selfishness. So that's what we need to understand. I usually tell people that I see pride and selfishness as epidemic. I'm going to explain what this means. In question 917, the spirits will tell us this, that of all imperfections, the most difficult to uproot is selfishness. So we need to understand this thing. And why is selfishness epidemic? Well, let's go by example. It's easier than start, talking technical here. Let's say this is a community, okay, of houses. And I'm in the middle right here. This is me. This is Mr. Him, my neighbor, left side, and this is Mr. For Sale. On the right side, the house is empty, okay? So everything is nice and neat, and I'm all good, and it couldn't be any better. I have my family, I have my stuff, I have my car, I have my house, everything's good. And suddenly somebody moves in the next door that was empty, and he brings a 2011 Mercedes, convertible Mercedes, and that hits me, and I'm going to say, wow. Everything was so nice and good, and now, wow, what am I going to do? This guy's got 2011 Mercedes. I need to go for at least a 2012 car. Then I go in, I go through some financial process, and I get my car, and I'm a 2012 something, okay? Then my neighbor next door is going to say, what? No, that can't be that way. I need to get something even better. And he's going to go through his financial process and so and so. What happens? I got contaminated by this guy that doesn't even know he contaminated me, but I got contaminated. And I contaminated this guy over here. So now the whole community is contaminated because we understood that this requires me to take action. That's epidemic. That's epidemic. Because if this guy had never moved in, everything would still be the same. I wouldn't be going through financial trouble. I wouldn't be going through buying cars, and same over here. So it is epidemic because we don't know how to control it. We have to react to this thing. Now, when you have a health epidemic situation, how do you fix that? Okay, let's say a certain area, let's say Miami, we got some sort of health epidemic situation. What do? We get the health authorities, okay, they'll put a plan together, get some people to help, some volunteers, some government people, they'll send doctors over, send people to the hospital, isolate areas, fume places, and so on and so on. So probably in about a month or two, the thing is back in control. Now, how do we fix this? There is no government, there is no fuming places, there is no doctor that's going to fix, because it comes from within. Those are devices within. I am the only one who can even decide to take the action to fix this. And that's our challenge, trying to take the action to fix this. It would be nice if we can measure our grade of selfishness, let's say from 0 to 10. 0 being I'm not selfish at all, 10 being the universe is divided in two parts, me and the rest. Okay? So that goes from 0 to 10. It would be nice if I know where I am. Right? Let's say, for example, that I find out by some method that I'm 8. I should say, wow, my God, I need to do some work. I'm really bad. I need to work on this thing. I need to start changing, right? Let's say that I'm 2. Okay, I would say, well, I'm not so bad. I'm not going to stop doing my thing and working on it, but I'm not as bad as I thought I could be. And the question is, can we measure this? Can we put a number? Can we associate? Can we find out how big our selfishness is? Yes and no. Here's an idea. When you look at the universe, okay, we start right over here on Earth. The Earth is one of the planets that run around the orbit around the Sun. Our solar system with other solar systems will orbit around a constellation. This constellation with other constellations is orbit around a nebula. This nebula with other nebulas, a supernebula. Supernebulas around a supernova, and so on, so on, so on. So 300 billion galaxies, 200 billion suns in each galaxy. That's the size of this thing. Okay, now if you put yourself in this context, it doesn't make sense to say, he's got a brand new Mercedes, I need to buy one. He's going to a more beautiful dress than I am to that party. You see, it falls out of context. It doesn't apply anymore. Doesn't apply anymore. So, can we measure selfishness? This is how we measure, by the size of the universe that I see. When I see the universe divided in two, me and the rest, okay, there is no universe. The universe is one person. That tells me I'm a 10. When we hear something like there was a tsunami in Japan and so and so and so, and people are dying and they're getting desperate, they're not getting food, and it's a difficult situation, and we look at the TV and say, nah, that's Japan, that's way too far on the other side of the planet. You see, that's a sign. That's a sign that I'm not even close to 0. And so things like closer, something happens in, let's say, Orlando, okay, but that's in Central Florida. You see, that's what's going to tell you, that's between me and my consciousness. I don't have to tell anyone, that's between us and our own consciousness. That's going to give me a glimpse of where I am on that scale and how much work I need to do. It just needs to be a honest rating. It doesn't go out, it don't tell anybody, it don't publish on the internet, but it can help you. All right, that's about virtues. Very quickly, that's about vices. Very quickly about virtues. Kardec asked the spirits, question 893, what is the most meritorious of all virtues? And the answer is pretty straightforward. As you see here, there is not one that we can name it. It all depends. But ultimately, it's the one that carries the sense of no return. It's not an investment. Charity is not an investment. Okay? So then you have the two extremes. One extreme is the worst of the vices, which is selfishness. And on the other extreme, you have the best of the virtues, charity. And these things are confirmed to us in question 917. When the spirits tell Kardec selfishness is the source of all vices and charity is the source of all virtues. So these are the two extremes. This is what's going to define from 0 to 10 where I am on the scale, on my personal scale. So the goal is to go to replace all this list of vices that we practice every day, ban them. One day we're going to be able to do it and replace them all with virtues. So that would be the knowledge of the truth. Now, how does it happen? How do we do here today in Miami 2013? Is there a way? Well, let me give you some thoughts. And it all has to do, obviously, with our development. We need to develop the ability to abandon, little by little, obviously, vices and start bringing in or practicing or spending more time on the virtue side of life. Now, when we are all on the same boat. We're all looking for moral development. So think of us, let's say, for example, a group of, let's say, 500 people just walking towards a certain goal. We're just walking, okay, a marathon or something like that. And I'm right in the middle here. So there are people ahead of me and there are people behind me. Those ahead of me, by analogy, are the ones who already have been where I am today. They've passed where I passed. They've lived what I lived. They experienced what I'm experiencing now. These are the ones that can guide me in a way. These are the ones that I can ask questions. How do you do this? How did you do this? That would be nice, but do we do this? No. We see these people ahead of us and we label them as enemies because they are better than us. We see them as the guy who has a better Mercedes, a better iPhone, a better iAll, if there's such a thing, or the iEverything. You see, we don't kind of think that these are the people who can provide me some good source of, at least a method on how to work on to get there. No, we just see them as enemies. And how about the ones behind? That's even worse. We don't want to look behind, we want to look back. We don't want to see them. When they come to us to ask, and we'll just refute them. Nah, get out of here, let me go on my way. That's close to 0. I'm sorry, that's close to 10. If we don't help them coming back here. So we're all in the same boat. And when the spirits are talking about this whole idea of superior spirits, inferior spirits, and we should be helping each other, one thing comes up. And what comes up is this here, the challenge of authority. What is authority in 2013? Is for most of us, not necessarily here in the center, but if you think about the society, most of us will think about power, money, things like this. Some sort of president of a country, of a group, of an institution. Usually that's what goes in our minds. Now think about him. Did he have the authority? Yes, 100%. How many slaves did he have? None. How many people did he have to kill and step on to show his authority? None. How many people did he have to look as from the prejudice angle? None. So is it possible to have authority with moral? Yes. We just don't know how to do that yet, but it is possible. If it's possible, then I've already had a glimpse of it. So I already know that it is possible. So I need to fight and work my way towards that goal. He was here to show. He wasn't here to say. He didn't come here to tell us the most beautiful metaphors and parables. And no, that wasn't his thing. His thing was, this is what you do. And I'm helping you to find and follow your path. Okay? All right, now we are incarnate, so the body matters. The body has influence on what we do, and we have influence on the body as well. In this book, I don't think there's an English translation for this. It would be something like Thought in Life. by Spirit Emmanuel, he tells us something very interesting that I'm going to share with you here. He tells us this. This is the concept. Go back many lives ago, and you keep doing the same things, and you keep doing the same things and feeding the same process like we saw in the beginning. So there's going to be a point where you're going to start having trouble, and this trouble is going to be demonstrated directly onto the body. As we know, harmony, health is a perfect harmony of the soul. And this is what it says. One of these things, let's pick one of these vices that we keep feeding life after life after life. This one, pride. And Emmanuel says, after time or after incarnation, and a lot of them, 4 things are going to happen. One of these 4 things are going to happen. These are his words, not mine. Number 1, depression. That's the moral implosion that I said. One day you can't take this anymore. I can't stand myself anymore. Everything is wrong. I haven't been doing the right thing. And you just dismantle. Okay, that's depression. Number 2, ulceration. It's already at the physical level. Yeah. Number 3, emotional imbalance, which can lead to a bunch of other things, but it could start with a certain imbalance because I'm not holding right my emotions. And number 4, cellular dysfunction. What is cellular dysfunction? Cancer, diabetes, degenerative diseases. That's what it is. Those are his words, not mine. And when does it happen again? When we are feeding the process life after life after life, and we don't do anything to stop it. Okay? Now, if we take this sketch here, and we present to a scientist, the first thing he's going to say, oh yeah, okay, who is this Dr. Emmanuel? Show me the paper, show me his lab, show me what he did. And there is no such a thing. So science would look at this. This book is from the 60s, early 60s. So they would say that doesn't apply. It's not valid. So science doesn't validate that until into more recent times. If you go to a regular commercial medicine doctor, okay, you can go in and he's going to say, where's the pain? And you're going to say, right here on the wrist. And he's going to write down, take Tylenol twice a day, and you're all set, and you're going. It takes 5 minutes. And you go from it. If you want to take it or not, that's a whole different story, but that's how it works. Now, when you go to a homeopathic doctor, it's a whole different story because they don't work on the physical body. They work on what they call the energetic body. For us, this is perispirit. So they work on the perispirit. So what he does on the first consultation, you're probably going to spend a couple hours in there, at times 3 hours on the first consultation, because he doesn't know anything about you. He needs to understand, but not at the physical level. He needs to understand at the energetic level. What do you think? How do you react to things such as bad news on the internet, or somebody hitting somebody, or a party? He needs to see what you think, how your energy sinks in, so he can treat the energetic level. So it takes about 3 hours for him to do something like this. All right, close parenthesis here. One of the most successful and considered one of the 5 best homeopathic doctors in the world. He lives in Brazil. He's from Paraguay. Dr. Javier Gamara. In his early days, in his very first days as a doctor, homeopathic doctor, he was puzzled by one thing. All, not most, all of the cancers, all of the patients that came up and they showed cancer, they had cancer, they all had the same trouble with these 2 things: hatred and resentment. All of them. And he's in his early days of practice, and he goes like, at least, this is very interesting, at least. Now, 100% of the patients that showed up with kidney problems had something to do with envy, unresolved envies, or unresolved something related to envy. And 100% of the patients that showed up with some sort of arthritis had something to do with pride, unresolved pride. In his early days. And then he said, no, that's too much of a coincidence. I'm going to invest on this thing. I'm going to study this thing and see what's going on or what's behind it. And he did through all these years, many, many, many years. And he was able to actually find out that it is 100% of the cases. Now, with the advent of neuroscience in the late 90s, things changed, because now this is something that science has live proof with the equipment that we have. So let's think about these diseases, okay? These degenerative diseases. We showed 3 of them here. All of these diseases happen because there are 2 factors. It is a combination of 2 things that make it happen. One thing alone will not make it happen. One of these things is what medicine calls the predisposing factor. What is the predisposing factor? It's got, my body has a predisposition for something, which obviously has to be my genetics because it's part of my body construction, structure. So it has to be my genetics. Now there's a second, so I can have a certain potential condition in my genetics, but it will never take place. It will never actually happen if the second factor, which is the triggering factor, takes place. Now, what triggers it? We know today that these are these vices. Now, what is important for us here, spiritists, is, let's take a look at this. This is a 50-50, okay? Let's start with this side here, the vices. How much, from 0 to 100%, how much is my participation in this thing here? 100%. 100%. What is my participation on predisposition in my genetics? What does it depend on? Why do I have the genetics that I have today? Was it an accident? Did somebody play lotto in Vegas and I came with this?
That's what you did yesterday.
My spiritual history. What is my participation here? 100%. That's that easy. That's 100%. That's only me. It's not Susanna, it's not Marcella, it's not Andrea, it's me. And if I don't comprehend that, if I don't take responsibility, I'm going to be looking or waiting for an objective to take place. I'm not going to be in a process. In order for me to be in a process, set foot and go, I need to understand this. It is all me. It's only me. Okay, so we go. And how can we test? How can we know where I am in this road, in this path? We have a very good input from St. Augustine when he tells us, do what I used to do. At the end of the day, you just run down your day, just, quickly review your day, and just have in mind everything that you did and you should not have done, or maybe should have done in a different way, which is okay, that's fine. So let's say we start this today. So I'm going to go tomorrow night. I go to bed, I lay down, and I go, let me quickly revise my day. Yeah, at 2 p.m. we had a meeting. Oh, I didn't get along with my boss on that meeting. I told him something that wasn't really nice. Oh, my bad. Okay. You see, that's fine. We're gathering information. That's the stage where I'm gathering information about my behavior, my conduct. And then the next night, I go lie down again. I had a problem with my boss and I told him this and that. On the 3rd day, the same thing. On the 4th day, the same thing. Is it helping? Yes and no. It's helping to identify where the problems are, but I'm not doing anything. So we need to act upon these things. The idea only can be validated by ourselves when I act. How do I act? We need to understand the concept of duality, so I can tell you, at least we can discuss how it's done. Duality is something that the Oriental philosophies study for 6,000 years, 5,000 years, still to this day. In the Western civilization, it's not all that strong. It's not something that we deal with except in Spiritism. It happens that we just don't know, okay? And I want to discuss that with you. But in the Western civilization, that was brought to us in the 1640s when René Descartes was trying to explain. He was one of the great philosophers of all times. He was trying to explain. In 1640, 10% of the population know how to read and write. So it's difficult to pass along a brand new concept like this. But he was trying to explain what it means. We can define dualities such as this: binary opposing principles that cannot exist with each other, without each other. What? Let's talk about this in English. Okay, what does it mean? It means this. Let's say that many, many, many lives ago, I was the greatest criminal of my time. And then life after life, I've been trying to correct this. And I'm getting better, and I'm getting better, and better, and better. And the last life, all I did is steal a little bit of candy from other people. In this life, I decided that my purpose in this life is to stop that. This is the life that I'm coming in. I'm going to incarnate, and I'm not going to do it. And from this life on, I'm not going to do ever again. So here I am. I come in and I incarnate. And what happens? I come into a society that I'm not going to say forces me, but makes it very easy to not do it. So you see, I came in this life, let's say, to work on one of the dualities. Okay, dualities is something like this: life and death. Okay, what does it mean, dualities? It means two things that are opposed, but one does not exist without the other. Life and death. In whatever religious concept, if you're alive, you're not dead. If you're dead, you're not alive. But one doesn't exist without the other. Heaven and hell. Spiritist concept, classic concept, doesn't matter. If you're in hell, you're not in heaven. If you're in heaven, you're not in hell, but one does not exist without the other. This is the global concept of dualities. Opposing principles, good and evil. If I'm good, I'm not evil. If I'm evil, I'm not good. But one does not exist without the other. And then I incarnate and I come to a society that's very challenging. And this is why our society is a challenge. Because by definition, the physical plane is dualist. So let's try to understand this. I'm here to work on this one thing, honesty. So I'm gonna face a duality, honesty, dishonesty. Okay? And this is the lifetime, the incarnation, that I'm gonna not touch dishonesty. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm supposed to touch honesty. So here I am, and everything is going well and fine and so and so. Then suddenly, Susanna comes in here and puts $1,000 here, and everybody leaves. And I go like, wow, $1,000. If I take one of these notes, one of these things, nobody's gonna see. I can just run away, and nobody's ever gonna catch me. And what's happening? I go through a tremendous conflict. Internally, I'm living a tremendous conflict. What does it mean? It means that I have not yet transcended the duality, dishonesty, honesty. I have not yet transcended that. Because if I had transcended that, my attitude was going to be, wow, $1,000. Whoever lost his money must be in desperation. Susanna, can you help me find this person? They must be desperate. Thinking about stealing, having some from me, or making some situation, a personal situation out of this would never cross my mind if I had transcended this duality. And it goes like that for everything else. For example, alcoholism. Okay, I've been drinking and drinking and drinking all past lives, and so less and less and less and less and less. And this is the lifetime that I decided I'm not drinking anymore. I'm not touching alcohol anymore, and it's going to be that way from now on. So here I am, and everything is good. Everything is nice and neat. Somebody puts the most expensive whiskey right here and leaves me alone in the room. If I go like, wow, my God, this is the most expensive whiskey. I should touch this. I can't miss that opportunity. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If I do this, I have not yet transcended the duality, alcoholism, sobriety. Because if I had, my attitude was going to be something like this. Wow, a bottle of whiskey, this thing is expensive. If one of the people who are still in trouble with alcohol and dealing with that, if they see this, it's going to be disaster. Let me hide this thing. Let me take it somewhere else. It wouldn't even cross my mind that I should have it myself. I could have it myself. No. So the point is, when you transcend the duality, okay, when you transcend the duality, you don't have choices anymore. For example, dishonesty, honesty. When I transcend that duality, there is no dishonesty anymore. Everything is honesty. That is called the truth. What is the knowledge of the truth? Remember in the beginning? It's the path to perfection. That's the path to perfection. So eliminating one at a time, life after life, it takes time. Eliminating all these dualities, it's what's going to reveal. I'm the one revealing to myself. It's going to be revealed by myself, to myself, that this is the truth. And then the next duality here, this is the truth. And then the next one here, this is the truth. The knowledge of the truth is going to make me perfect. That's the concept. So I just listed some of the things that we spoke here. Why is, at the end, why is that by default the physical plane is dualist? Because I need to be offered both to make the right choice, till the day that I don't have to make that choice on that subject anymore. As trial and expiations, I need to be tried. I need to be offered both so I can make the right choice. And I have my free will, so it's all my choice. Nobody's gonna make choices for me. It's only me, okay? All right, so we spoke about these things. So all of these, dishonesty, honesty, alcoholism, sobriety, we can generalize as vices on this side versus on this side. So as all these vices come down, because these dualities are becoming truth, I'm practicing virtues instead of vices. And that goes all the way to the beginning of the talk. That's the purpose, right? So of all of these things, on this side, everything is supported by selfishness. And on this side, everything is supported by charity, which is the biggest of all dualities in life. It's the last one that we're going to have to deal with. Okay? And how do we do that? Okay, so how do we actually can make it happen? So I would say this. Think about the sun. Okay? Let's see if you're good astronomers. Think about the sun. What time is night at the sun? It's night 6 o'clock out here. What time is night at the sun?
Never.
Never. Why not?
Because it's always shining.
It's always shining. Let's make it better. Let's make a better answer. Because the sun is the source of all light. All light, not light, all light. The sun is the source of all light. When am I going to be in peace? When I am the source of all peace. When am I going to be patient? When I am the source of all patience. You see, I'm not going to be in peace when two guys sit down somewhere in the world and sign a treaty. I'm going to be in peace when I am the source of all peace. I'm going to be tolerant when I'm the source of all tolerance. I'm going to be all of these things. You see, as the dualities come down, the sun shines. And that's what we want to do. We wanted to take this spark, the sun inside, and make it happen. Enlighten ourselves, illuminate ourselves with that sun. It's already in there. But we practice this side here. We're constantly looking at that side. So we don't see this side. As we start seeing these sides, this is not going to matter anymore, one at a time. So these dualities are going to disappear. Now, if I need to look for virtues outside, that means that I don't have it. Right? In simple words, let's say, for example, I say this, I like to be close to that person because he is so patient. What does it mean? It means I'm not. So I still have a duality going on here, which is impatience, patience. I like to be close by Mr. Such and Such because he's so tolerant. What does it mean? I'm still fighting intolerance, tolerance. It's a live duality. I haven't transcended that yet. So if we need to pick up or look for versions outside, it's dark inside on that particular thing. It's 2 a.m. right here, and I need to work on it. Now it's kind of weird because it's 2 a.m. right here, but the sun is inside at the same time because I'm making choices. They're both in. It's a choice that I make. It's all choice. It's all related to my moral standards. Okay? Now, how about him? How did he deal with dualities? He didn't have any. He didn't have any. He had no dualities. Everything had been transcended. He was at the top of this thing. He was the sun himself. He shined from within. You see, what time or what passage of the gospel, the Bible, whatever, what passage of the gospel can you see where Jesus sits down right there on the street, puts his hands like this and says, "Oh my God, nobody loves me. The Pharisees don't like me. Nobody loves me." What time did it happen in the gospel? You see, when we say, "Nobody loves me," where am I looking for love? Outside. I'm not the sun yet. I still have not transcended that duality. Nobody has patience with me. Nobody's patient with me. What does it mean? I'm looking for that outside. I don't have it inside. I have not yet transcended that duality. You don't have to deal with any of these things. That explains one simple thing in this book. I don't think there's an English translation. It would be something like Sun in the Souls by Spirit André Luiz. He tells one phrase, which is a summary of all these 40 minutes that we've been speaking here. This is it. Without temptation, impossible to work towards perfection. That, I think, summarizes all this talk. We can't do it without being tempted and knowing the truth, meaning, oh, this is not even longer an option anymore. This is the way to go. That's what this is, okay? Now, dualities, I said, we spiritists are the only in the Western civilization working with it, but we don't know. We don't know. Well, let me tell you this. In the early days of the Spiritist magazine that Kardec published for 12 years, one issue every month, he deals a lot with that. If you go back, he deals a lot with that in different ways, not exactly the way I'm saying, but he considers duality. He works on it with us, okay? Now, one thing that we need to understand clearly, hopefully, is if you look at the evangelical or philosophical literature by Spirit Emmanuel, not the historical literature, the philosophical, okay? These being the three more popular books. All these three books, and others, but these three books, they are all more or less like this. Don't do this, do that. When somebody offers this, you follow this path. When A is about to happen, make B happen. Isn't that the way these books are? What is this? He's teaching us these dualities. Live in front of our eyes on the page of the book. Right there. So when you go through these books, it's interesting. Start noticing. It's interesting. Some of these passages will get us. Wow. Oh my, this is strong. That means I have not yet transcended that one. I'm struggling with that duality. And some of them will just go past by. Oh yeah, no, that's okay. What does it mean? I have already transcended those. So the ones that will make us stop and have some sort of impact on us, these are the ones we need to work on. We have not yet transcended those dualities. And just so we can close, question 132 of the Spirit's book, why so many lives and incarnations? Because I need to clear off all these dualities, all of them, okay? So let's take some conclusions here, some final thoughts. Number one, in the codification, one of these spirits, he signs as a protector spirit, he tells us this: as Christ said, perfection is found entirely on the practice of absolute charity, which is on this side here. It's the base of all the virtues. We know that. And here's another very interesting phrase from Chico Xavier, not the medium, not Emmanuel, him, the person, the citizen, okay? This is what he used to say. Clean environment is not the one we clean more and more, but the one we don't stain at all. Meaning, don't bring any more vices. Stop. Stop bringing vices. That's a start. Stop feeding vices. That's what he was trying to tell us in his words. So what do we take home from this talk today? I would take home three things to digest a little bit more. First of all, perfection as a process, not as an objective. We're not going to the beach. We're not going to do a New Year's resolution that on day such and hour such, I'm perfect. No. Number two, What is the size of the universe for me? Meaning, what is the size of my ego? How selfish am I? Have that in mind as you go along in your day, because it helps. It does help, I can tell you. Our attitudes, we analyze our attitudes based on this. And number 3 here, the idea of the soul, the sun in the soul. It's inside. It's a matter of choice, us bringing it up. Okay? Thank you very much, and you all have a good week. Thank you.